Do you know the word I associate most with him is mature. He's a very mature person. And that's a strange thing to say about somebody of his
Yeah,
age, but there
yeah,
is a deep, deep maturity to him. And we see glimpses of it in all sorts of different ways. Like talking to some of the football journalists who were on the beat, even from early games with them, he would just kind of, generally in sport now, there's like a cordoned off area where you just can't get near the protagonists. He would just wander over to the journalist, hands in his pockets, and just have off the record chats. Just, hey,
yeah,
treat them as people. You think of when he said something, in my opinion, which was extremely innocuous, about Shamrock Rovers players, and hopefully they go on to big careers and maybe they get a move to England. Rovers have been brilliant, and Stephen Bradley took exception to it and jumped down his throat in a big way. Like he could have been like, who are you guys? Instead, he smoothed that over.
yeah,
No offense intended. That kind of swallowing a little bit, as you said about
yeah,
Coleman. He put that one to bed like really elegantly, and
yeah,
then. And I'm just picking random examples here. This is right through the way he talks. After Armenia, he absolutely could have, after the humiliation of Armenia away, oh, well, it's the players. I mean, it's on them. And just could have got a bit scrambled. And when managers are under pressure, they start doing silly press conferences and they get tetchy with Tony O'Donoghue and it all
yeah,
becomes toxic. None of that. Under like in the
yeah,
midst of kind of humiliation, right the
yeah,
way through to how even tempered he was last night. When everyone else is losing their minds in the interviews, there he
yeah,
is, as if it was a 1-all draw.
yeah.
And just a really mature, impressive man.
Yeah, listen, he's so focused on the outcome, the goal, which is to win matches, is that everything that happens on the periphery, he's almost nonchalant about it or blasé about it. It's like, but this isn't, even the Stephen Bradley incident you messaged, he's just like, "Oh, this isn't going to help me, so I'm going to get out of this as quickly as I can." And my focus, my 100% focus on this. And that's what I say. He has no ego. And that's what I like about him. And even his first press conference, he came in and he started making statements about, the jersey being too heavy for players. And you're kind of going, well, that seems really true. And there was a level of honesty with him,
Hmm.
and people mistake like honesty that imagine he'd come out and berate players and castigate them and write them off. He doesn't, but he came out after games that we didn't get results in. And I think everyone kind of went, yeah, that seems fair.
And
We
and
weren't good enough.
and it was such a polar opposite to Stephen Kenny, who would
Yeah.
reach for stats and different things to kind of explain away really bad performances year after year after year. Like even Hallgrimsson came out after the Armenia game. I remember like on the TV and said, "Yeah, no, it's over. We're done." He didn't do this
Mm.
false. No, we still have a chance, even though it turns
Yeah,
out we
yeah, yeah.
did. But he was like, "No, no, we're done. We're done."
Yeah, it's going to be, he said it's going to be like incredibly difficult or
Yeah,
almost impossible, right? We're
yeah.
going to have to do something special. But I guarantee you went in the changing room and his staff and that was an embarrassing one for them because remember prior to that game, Paddy McCartney went in the press and he was like, "We're going to America." John O'Shea came out and it was this all, and we were all going, "Oh, we drank the Kool-Aid, right?" And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and then I mean that's a huge thing, and I know Paddy was probably just trying to be positive and stuff like that and making those statements, but waking up the next morning, you're like, "Geez, why did I say that?" And it's gone wrong. But those guys regrouped absolutely. I mean, they must have sat down at a meeting, the three of them, and said, "Right, we're not going to argue about how we ended up here. We are where we are. Okay, how do we get out of this?
Yeah,
What's the best thing to do?" And they formulated a plan and they said basically clean sheets.
yeah.
Okay. In the future, we might want to play a different way and we can delve into the game yesterday because it wasn't a good game. There's an awful lot of flaws in what we did and the pace of their attack and the way they started, but we'll get to that later on. But he just basically said, I don't care. We're playing Armenia at home and we have to win.
Yeah.
What's the best way for us to win? And I don't care if I get booed out of that stadium. I don't care if every journalist in this country just absolutely flattens me. You know, I'm abandoning shit now, and we are going flat back five, and I don't care what it looks like, and we need to keep a clean sheet, and I trust that our good players will score. And he just crept over the line with a 1-0 win against a really poor red card from Armenia's point of view. And he didn't care what it looked like. And after the game, I remember reading quotes and people were saying, "Oh, that's awful. Why are we playing flat back five at home against Armenia? We have to be better than this." That type of pressure in terms of his reputation is on the line. He just went, "I don't care."
Yeah.
And that was the first step towards like what result. Okay, great. And now we can start moving. And he's had three clean sheets back to back, which is like incredible, like absolutely incredible. And he's trusted that the players have the fight, have the spirit. And listen, it's just an incredible,
Yeah.
incredible. incredible achievement, really, from everyone involved in that camp.
I think as well the players have really low level. They wouldn't come out and say it, but I think they've enjoyed that back to basics approach. There's a kind of
Familiarity.
familiarity, a comfort. I think psychologically they feel comfortable in that kind of a setup. It
Yeah.
plays to the strengths that they have, and yesterday in particular, going behind twice, if they didn't feel that security in what they were doing, they would have crumbled.
Oh no, absolutely, no, no, 100%. And you always think that we're still in it. No, I do think the penalty was crucial because they started like an absolute train.
Yeah,
Like, I remember sitting watching the first 10 minutes, going, Jesus Christ, these lads are like they look sharp, they look
yeah,
fit, they look hungry. I mean, I thought that they might only needing a draw might come out a little bit on the defensive or kind of see where we're at. They come out like a train and they scored, and you're
yeah,
like, Jesus Christ. The penalty just took the wind out of their sails.
yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't fortunate, as I said, it wasn't a lucky penalty. It was a well manufactured situation, and we deserved that penalty. But then you could see all of a sudden the kind of the wind had gone out of them, and then they got their nose in front again. The lads just kept battling and kept going, and in 10 minutes left, previous to this, to the starting, people asked me what would be success, and I said, well, if you could go to Budapest needing something, even if it's a miracle, can we go to Budapest needing something? Because we've been out of everything for the last 5 years. I think six, including Nations Leagues, group stages, we've been out of after basically the first or the second game. And we went to Budapest needing something, and we were in the fight. We got to the 80th minute, and we were in the fight. And that's what the manager did. He got us to that point.
Yeah.
And even if the game finished 2-1, you'd say, look, it was a good effort. You know what I mean? And he deserves another contract just on the back of, bringing us to within 10 minutes. But if you put yourself in position, you keep going and you just keep in the game and put yourself in position, miracles can happen.
I know. And then the weight of psychology fell in our favor. I mean, they just stopped playing. They were paralyzed. They were, oh my God, in the brace position for like about 15 to 20 minutes.
Amazing. It was just like 2-1 up with 20 minutes to go. And then once the goal went in, you could see just like absolute panic. Got it to 2-2, whereas they had the comfort of like, okay, we're 2-1 up. If they score, 2-2 does us. But as soon as it went to 2-2, the psychology of that team and
Yeah.
stadium, I would imagine that you could have felt the atmosphere turn in the stadium of almost panic from the fans, like, oh, for goodness sake, okay, we need to dig in here. And then like the manager played a blinder, with his selection of the team to keep us in it, because you could have come out all guns blazing and
Yeah.
2 or 3 nil down and done. But it was still a very, very defensive selection with the wing backs. But then like at half time, we're sitting thinking to myself, right, what would you do now? And I thought the wing backs, change the wing backs, get Festy on, get Manning on. And then I thought, okay, he got one of the wing backs on. And then I think on 60 minutes, he did the other wing back. And then, listen, then the Finazaz stuff happens. Then it's to get Eid on. And he went to a 3-4-3 and got three on up front. Because then you're in it with 15 minutes to go. So now you can just like go twist on whatever you want. So he played a blinder under the most intensive pressure. And I'm sure he would imagine the game unfolding that way, him and his staff. Let's just stay in this. Let's just
Yeah.
get to like 75 minutes and be in the fight.